I'm not making this one out of pettiness, I promise. It's just that the concept came from a place of disagreement. A while back, I saw comments about Musa's build-up being bad, how they didn't show enough of it prior, how they could have given us flashbacks showing us events from Musa before its downfall. And I disagree. I think Musa, as it was presented, was enough. When I say enough, I mean that I don't think it was lacking, nor was it too much. I was in love with the way they built up and revealed this country, and ever since seeing that person say it wasn't that good, I've just had a nagging thought in the back of my mind to rant about it because it's probably a contender for my favorite Bravely town. So here is that rant. First, I think it's important to point out how there are various pieces of lore sprinkled throughout the game that build up an image of Musa in the player's head and what happened to it. You've got all of Gloria's comments regarding her fallen kingdom. You have journal entries like Bernard's that depict a part of the siege on Musa. All this talk of how mighty the kingdom was, how important it was, especially with being the guardian of the crystals. You keep hearing the same sob story about how Musa has fallen, and the villains gloat about how much enjoyment they took in sieging the mountaintop country, murdering its citizens, and stealing its most precious treasures. They mock Gloria and say she is a princess of nothing anymore, but she still maintains hope that it can be rebuilt one day. And you know that at some point, you are going to have to return to Musa with the crystals in order to seal the Knight's Nexus. So it starts picking at you. What would this kingdom look like? What's it going to sound like? Things of that nature. It gets a little exciting as you progress. The idea of finally getting to see Musa, because they won't show it off in any cutscenes or flashbacks. So then you finally get to Chapter 5, and it's time to begin the climb. Starting in the sister kingdom of Halcyonia, which, fun fact, was formerly part of Musa before splitting off 400 years prior, you make your way through an old mining tunnel, and then you're back outdoors. On the porch of Musa, just a little more climbing up the mountaintop you go, but there's no sign of the town yet. So you run and run and run, and then... nothing. It's a dead kingdom. You were told it was a dead place all this time, but now finally being here, it just hits different. And the part that really sold this moment for me was Gloria's welcome to the rest of the party.
Crikey. This is... I mean, it's...
Welcome to Musa. I'm afraid there is no one left to greet us, or to provide the hospitality for which we were so famous. Still, I at least am very happy that you are here. No one survived the attack. I am the only one who remains. But I will not let the same destruction be visited upon other kingdoms. I will not let our world be destroyed. All is not yet lost. As long as we have the crystals, there is always hope. Let us be on our way.
That attempt at joking hospitality, the quiet pause before Gloria goes on about how no one survived, and the simple fact that the others are just too depressed at what they see to even comment. This is single-handedly one of, if not is, my favorite moment in Bravely Default 2. Like, we don't even have Elvis making some kind of joke to try and lift the mood. The only things that can escape his lips are unfinished statements of disbelief at what he's witnessing. It nails the tone to a T and chokes my heart every time I rewatch it. It's the definition of heart-wrenching, seeing someone try to pretend, even for just a moment, that things are sort of okay, but no one else is buying it, and then just giving in and joining them in their somberness. I was trying to flesh this concept out, so I was bouncing ideas off my friend Koma, and she pointed out a movie scene that reflected this moment really well. I wasn't aware of it since I somehow still haven't watched it, but in Disney's Mulan, the old one, there's a song called A Girl Worth Fighting For. It's a goofy bit about a bunch of dudes dreaming about the girls they want to meet when they're done with the war, but then at the end of the song, that immediate tone shift is exactly what I felt when I entered Musa for the first time, point for point, regardless of the drop from elation to despair that Mulan offered. The ruins of Musa are unlike any other town we've seen in a Bravely game. Design-wise, it looks relatively cool. Or, it probably looked really cool, if it weren't for all the destroyed homes in the distance. There are no people here, save for your crew, a side quest A&D who is implied to be a fairy based on the things they say, and only happens to show up after you reach Magmel, and of course, a trusty wagon man. But that's it. Musa is empty. There isn't even a single shop, not even an inn to heal up at. As Koma pointed out to me, even Adam's airship, the zombie crisis-afflicted Wiswald, and a fucking dreamscape of Inderno had these buildings. This place? Nada. The field right outside of town is equally as dead, as noted by the BD2 guidebook. There are no spawns here, so you can just enter the town. And if we had any of this in the background of a prior cutscene, where it's just a moment out of Gloria's life, and everything is sunshine and roses with a big sepia filter thrown over it, none of this would have hit nearly as hard. You would have been able to predict what the town would look like, which buildings would have holes, compare it at peak population with the emptiness we have now. But by not giving us that, we're just kinda left wondering, what was this place like? All we have now is this. And it's sad, and that is why it works. You don't get to reflect on a kingdom you are connected to. You only get the uncomfortable loss, the remnants, and you're left awkwardly kicking rocks while Gloria prepares everything. I think that is the mood that was intended by the devs, and I think it works. Another part that really sells the moment: the music, or should I say, the lack thereof. For a series renowned for having some of the greatest music of all time, not getting anything for this town is a complete 180 on everything the game has given us so far. I want to use Magmel as the opposite example because I think that town's reveal was also immaculate, and the music played a massive role in that. The fairy theme that's been getting built up over the course of the game with Adele's theme and then Edna's boss theme finally comes into its fullest form when you enter Magmel, and it really feels like you're entering a mystical place. Whereas with Musa, Revo doesn't get a chance to rock out, because there's nothing to rock out about. It's a dead kingdom. Even Lost Seed in Octopath Traveler 2 has a different vibe than Musa. That place is just damn creepy, and it gets more and more unsettling as you explore the place. But Musa is not looking for unsettling or magnificence, or even a tune that hints at former magnificence. Again, it's nothing. There's nothing here, so you don't get a theme. All that build-up to finally reaching Musa, and all you get is the wind howling in your ears as you gaze down on the knocked-over homes of dead Musans. You don't even get something ominous like the track that played when FF14's first iteration was getting shut down. This would probably be the closest thing I'd want if Musa needed to have music, but it just works so well without it that I'm glad the devs didn't bother. I'm certain Revo could have nailed it, but sometimes less is more. I wouldn't even try to really compare Musa's reveal to Gravemark Village from BD1, because the two aren't exactly equatable. Yeah, they're both towns that are in ruins and have no music, but with Gravemark Village, you're just passing by. It's a town of nothing in the middle of nowhere that doesn't really contribute to your main quest, and you just kind of happen upon it. But with Musa, this is the destination. This is the place your journey is supposed to end. For now, that is. Everything has led up to this kingdom, but there's no fanfare for arriving. I suppose the magical, nearly triumphant mood comes from the dungeon underneath Musa in the Crystal's resting place. The dungeon theme is exquisite, like tiptoeing through winter, and while I know there's going to be people complaining that the enemies themselves were annoying, I think it's a good dungeon with neat navigation methods and a decent level of difficulty. And the designs of the floors themselves are just gorgeous. Now that's not to say there's no point to Musa. There's a pretty pivotal piece of lore regarding the Knight's Nexus in one of the buildings, with the journal of a former king of Musa. And of course there's the ever-taunting grave hidden behind the main building, which clearly has asterisk script on it, but the resolution is too low for me to translate beyond a couple of numbers, so there's that eating at my brain. But to go on a tangential rant for a moment, I've kinda come to dislike Vampire Castle over time. Like, yeah, it looks cool, and De Rosso is one of my all-time faves in the series, but it just kinda sucks. Its whole purpose in both default and second is to act as a big exposition dump where a character just reads lore at you for an hour. It sets a bad precedent, in my eyes at least, where players just start expecting all the answers to be spoon-fed to them with a silver spoon. And while it's fine if you enjoy that, I feel it's way more rewarding to find those answers for yourself. And I found that to be exceptionally true with BD2. Those two Knight's Nexus Explored videos I made are two of the most gratifying experiences I've had in video making over the years, and it's because of all the theorizing and truth hunting I had to do for them. Now, yes, are there chunks of lore that aren't in the game itself and you can only find in the guidebook or in old press junkets about the game, like that fact about HALCYONIA from the start? Yes, that sucks. I fully agree there, and I'm not here to say that BD2 is perfect. It's a flawed game for sure, but it's still my favorite game for tons of other reasons, and this is one of them. The fact that it offers you the chance to learn for yourself and to go on these kinds of deep dives, that is what I enjoyed most. I know it's a lot easier to just have Yoko yap for 40 minutes about her catching the sad cough or some shit, but sometimes it's just more rewarding to think for yourself for a change, or explore on your own. And ultimately, that wraps back around to why I think Musa was enough. They didn't show you everything about it, only scraps and pieces of a larger picture for you to put together yourself, and then shatter those expectations with a dead kingdom. And I love it for that.